Well, what's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Arrow Season 7, Episode 7, The Slabside Redemption. Because it's like Shawshank, but he's in Slabside. It's hilarious. Some of these, like the DC shows on CW, some of the titles, they gotta work on it. It's just, it's too obvious. It's too obvious a joke. You gotta work on the subtlety, like the one from Supergirl, Man of Steel, because he's a man. Anyways, but yeah, so this is the one where Oliver finally gets out of prison, and I'm hoping the last we see of Ricardo Diaz, because yeah, he got arrested in the last episode, and they were trading Diaz for Oliver, but of course that couldn't be enough, because Diaz, oh, he's such a bad guy, right? Like he's so good. Even arrested, he's still good enough to get out from under that. All it takes is just paying off a guard, and his problems are solved. It's that easy for Ricardo Diaz. Ooh, the big bad man. Oh my god. I really hope this is the end of Ricardo Diaz. I'm so sick of watching him somehow against all odds with no explanation other than money. Somehow he puts up a great fight. And don't get me wrong, what happened in this episode, pretty good. I liked it. I liked the whole prison riot against Oliver. I liked all of that. I liked, just how it all worked. I liked him getting to work with Turner. I like the fact that we learned a little bit more about Stanley. He actually is a serial killer. Go figure. Which I don't know how I feel about the fact that he escaped, because I feel like he's gonna come back as a character. He's just not that intimidating. Like I get the idea that he tricked Oliver into thinking he was a good guy, and that turns out he's actually a serial killer who, I guess, whenever he gets pissed off or whenever people bully him, like, he decides to kill them. Like, I get the concept, but this is Arrow. This, I don't know, this is not a show where I feel like Stanley Dover is gonna be, oh, the big bad guy. Or even, like, you think about the episodic villains. Look how easy Oliver kicked his ass, and he was tied to a shelf, and that was it. So I don't know, just the fact that he's out there, I feel like they're gonna have an episode tracking him down, and if he's any problem for the team at all, I'm gonna call some BS. I feel like he'd be better as like a surprise villain. Like he comes out of nowhere, you just think everything's okay, and then all of a sudden he's tracking down Oliver, because Oliver doesn't think to look for him, and he hits him without Oliver expecting it. That would be the only way he could be successful as a villain. Because as like going head to head with Oliver, even with Oliver's team, like Diaz against Oliver's team is actually a pretty good matchup. But Stanley against Oliver's team, no, no, no. Please don't bring him back as like he's supposed to be a great villain or something. He's not. Just like Diaz is not. But that's the thing. Going back to Diaz though, this is the perfect episode to exemplify why he doesn't work as a villain. There's no explanation. Like, yeah, he paid off the one guard. Okay. How did he get away with killing the two guards and then getting into the prison to talk to Oliver and then going even further? Like, it feels like all he needs is one person on his side, and suddenly he's got all the power he needs. And suddenly he's taken over the prison without hardly, like, batting an eye. Like, it just happened like that. I don't know. It's so bizarre. All of the guards, like the heavy duty guards, I know Oliver took some of them out on his escape, but it seemed like all of a sudden all of those guards are just done. They're gone because Diaz somehow just took them out. I'm just like, yeah, you can have a villain be very, very powerful, but I need some more explanation. I need some indication of why. Because it feels like he's able to get all these people on his side, and we just don't know why. So yeah, I'm glad that he's hopefully done. The fight between him and Oliver at the end. I will say the fact that they showed him getting like stronger through some, I don't even know what he was using earlier this season, but it showed him getting stronger. I can buy that because when he first fought with Oliver, Oliver beat him. Going one on one in a fight with Oliver, Oliver wins. But then he got this serum stuff, whatever he was using earlier in the season, and now he actually is better than Oliver. But Oliver's craftier, so he manages to turn the tables on him, which I feel like I've seen this done before. Was it this show? I feel like I've just seen it done before, like the villain's kicking the crap out of the hero, and then it's that one last like go to stab him, and then they turn the tables and stab them instead. Like I feel like I've seen it too many times. But yeah, he ends up putting him in the jail cell. I assume he's still alive because Oliver closed the jail cell and he kept talking like he didn't want to actually kill him. Although it looked like he put him in his own jail cell, and didn't he break the lock on that jail cell? Anyways, but yeah, I liked, like I said, Turner getting to sort of be the hero for a second. Kind of weird that they just killed off Brick and Samson, just like that. Samson gets caught on fire, and then Brick gets stabbed by Stanley. But that's about it. Is just this episode, Oliver in prison, and I kind of like the fact that they kept focused on this. Like it wasn't following Felicity and the team on the outside trying to hack into the system and help Oliver out, or following the future, the flash forwards, with William and all them. Like, I'm glad that they didn't take time away from what's going on here to tell these other stories, because this, I mean, even though I don't like Diaz as a villain, he is the villain that's pervaded this past season and a half. So having the final showdown between him and Oliver is an episode worth. And so I'm glad they actually gave it the time that they needed. The one thing that I will say kind of cracked me up, it's not a problem, but it just kind of made me laugh, is whenever Oliver and Turner were... Well, actually, okay, two things. First of all, Turner asked Oliver how he got out of his cell, or Oliver asked Turner, and then Turner's like, well, how'd you get out? I'm like, wait a minute, but he was in a regular jail cell. You were in the hole. I feel like I need some explanation. That's why, for a second, I thought Turner was working with Diaz, and Diaz let him out. Because, like, how did he get out of his... He was in the hole. That's not a jail cell you can just bust open. So I do need some explanation on how he got out. But I did like the exchange there, though. And then what really cracked me up, so, after the whole thing with Stanley, injecting Oliver, he goes and finds Turner, and they're kind of talking to each other a little bit. And, nice little touching moment talking about, like, being the hero that he wanted to be and stuff. But then he has these soda cans. And so Turner gets up and looks at him, and he grabs one of the soda cans. Like, I know it's bad for you, but are you really going to take out Diaz with a can of soda? He's like, well, I'm going to try. And I'm thinking, okay, so what's he going to do? Is he going to, like, set up, like, a makeshift bomb with the soda? Is he going to use some of the, like, the cap or something? Like, is he going to MacGyver something together? What's going to happen? And then he goes into the room, and he beats up some of the guys, and then all of a sudden in walks Turner with a bag, drops the soda cans in the bag, and just drops it to Oliver. I'm like, wait, that's it? What? You got me excited, like you're going to makeshift something with these soda cans, and it's just like, no, we're just going to put them in a bag and beat them over the head with it. That's all the soda cans we need. I don't know, the simplicity of it kind of made me laugh, because the way they set it up, it made it sound like it was going to be something really, interesting. Like I said, more MacGyver-y. So it's funny. But yeah, so that seems to be it for the prison stuff. So I'll be curious to see what the next episode holds before the crossover. So I guess we'll see in just a second. And episode 8, Unmasked. So, in line with a lot of this season, some of this episode surprised me. And in a good way. Which is very surprising. And it's so funny, because I remember getting back into the DW shows, the CWDC shows. I was not looking forward to Arrow or Supergirl, because both of them kind of sucked. But both of them so far have actually been decent enough. Like, Supergirl's definitely not been good, but it's had a couple things that have actually been good and made me excited to see more. And Arrow so far has been solid this season. Points off, though, for bringing Ricardo Diaz back again, because for some reason John and Lila need him. I don't care why. Just stop. Stop trying to make us think that he's the big, bad villain that we always wanted to see Oliver face. Like, no. Stop it. No. So I guess he's still involved with the season somehow. I don't know how. Um, but yeah, so there's that. That was frustrating, and then the Felicity stuff also frustrating. She's still the worst. Um, it was kind of funny. They were at the gala. First of all, God, just the whole gala scene. She's just talking for Oliver. Like he's about to say something, she'll just cut him off and say something for him. I'm like, will you let the man speak? Like, good God. And then also, like, they talk to this Max Fuller guy at the gala, and she's like, "Is it me or is he the worst?" I'm like, "No, it's not just you. He's not the worst. You're the worst. You got that wrong. You got that backwards. It's ironic that the worst person in the show is calling this guy the worst." But yeah, their whole fight scene was ridiculous. Like, not fight as in like fist fight, yelling at each other. She was blaming him for everything. She's saying, "Oh, the old Felicity is gone. She's never coming back." You know what? At this point, I would just Oliver just drop her. I don't care. Nobody should care. All the Olicity shippers should be done with this by now. Like I would hope. But knowing the internet, most of them are still like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're fighting and Felicity is going down a dark path and I just want Olicity to be happy forever." Ugh. So yeah, still frustrated with all that. But the surprising thing about this episode is that it pissed me off, but then was actually pretty good. Because they showed the identity of the new Green Arrow, and it's just some girl, and I'm like, really? Just some girl? That's it? And then all of a sudden there's this idea like, oh, the vigilante like might be being framed. So I'm thinking maybe the girl is the one doing the framing, and we'll find it. But then we see who was really framing her, and I'm just like, well, I guess that idea is out the window. So what? Just some random girl? And then at the end of the episode, she's kneeling in front of Robert Queen's grave, and says, "Daddy, I'm gonna go." I don't remember what she said now, but she called Robert Queen Dad. So either this is a child that Robert Queen had with another woman, or this is a daughter that for some reason Oliver's parents just never brought up for some reason. I don't know. But now I'm curious. It's got me intrigued, and I'm happy about that. I'm glad. Um, but yeah, this it was a pretty interesting episode. The mystery was not really much of a mystery. Honestly, Max Fuller was my first like suspect because these two guys that he was in cohorts with get killed, but he didn't even get target. Well, no. Well, yes. First one guy gets killed, but then the second arrow, Oliver stops from killing him, but then he gets killed later while he's trying to escape the city. So my thought is, this guy hasn't even had anybody come after him, and they're all part of the same group. So he's the one going after him, right? He's the one that ordered them to be killed. I thought it was interesting they brought in like a new character, the Mirror, who's able to accurately mask a killer's MO to frame the vigilante. I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I was just like, why was he not the first suspect? I'm glad they figured it out quickly, but I'm also kind of like, why wasn't he the first suspect? And then on top of that, the concept of Oliver and the police working together, I like it. When Dino was talking about a way to get around it, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to go and work with them this time. And sure enough, whenever Diggle was like, "Aren't you going to need this?" and held up the mask, he's like, "No." And then I'm thinking, oh, unmasked. That's what it meant. But yeah, it's an interesting concept. I will say, I think the mayor is probably involved in some sort of shady business, because why else would she be so pissed about Oliver joining the police force? Like, clearly she's evil, right? No, nobody's this dumb. She's an evil character. That's the only thing I can think of, because there's no other explanation for why she's acting this way other than she's evil. If they want to say, oh, well, she just doesn't like vigilantes, okay. Then somebody that's that biased should probably not be in a seat of power, politically. But hey, that could be just how politics works. Who knows? But yeah, overall, I mean, pretty good episode. Are they showing that same clip, that same scene that leads into the crossover for all three of these shows? Because it's the same exact one that I saw for The Flash. So if I see it again for Supergirl, I feel a little strange. I'll be like, I know how this plays out. But anyways, yeah, that's about it for this one. So Next is Supergirl, and then we got the crossover. So I'll see you guys when I see you. If you like this, if you want to see more Arrow reviews, leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you when I see you. Peace out.